everybody, it's your friendly neighborhood INFP, and it has been a minute. It has been longer than I thought it would. Anyways, on to today's subject, which is looking at behind the scenes of Chapter 3 of the MBTimes webcomic, which, I have been meaning to get to, and thus we are here. So let's just get into it, shall we? Let's see what is missing so that I can be far more active than I had realized that I was being. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, in Chapter 2, it was dealing with room 13, which is supposed to be the more mysterious of the rooms. It's supposed to be the place where fantasy settings, superhero settings, basically any other fun thing we wanted to do with MBTI, we were going to throw it all into room 13. The characters would go into room 13, and you would see them as fantasy races and whatever else out there. And so that was the initial purpose of room 13. So, going into it, so this page started out, this first page of Chapter 2. So the idea was that ISTJ and INFP have known each other, and they've known each other for a very long time. In fact, they're kind of besties. They know quite a bit of each other, and this is why there is a kind of routine of ISTJ always coming to wake up INFP, usually by means hilarious, which, is usually self-inflicted, because if INFP didn't sleep in and didn't do all that other stuff, there wouldn't be that problem. And at this point, it's already been a few months to that point, so there should have been a few months later tag somewhere here. And some time has already passed. ISFJ has already gotten used to the characters to some extent. She's gotten used to the patterns and behaviors. So this is why this scene is set up as thus. The next one we have, so the idea I had here was Wake Up by System of a Down, for those of you who know System of a Down, because I feel like that would be a very good jolt to the system, and I feel like I did in the past wake up to this song, so there's like a little bit of that to this as well. But I also feel that it would be something, like there are other songs that I suppose could go in there, but like when you have that first oomph of wake up, it is bound to get you like, yeah, and that's the idea behind this. And of course, she's doing this as a slight prank, but also because they are friends. I don't think ISTJ would not do it if she wasn't this close to INFP. She doesn't do it to any of the other members of the MBTI types, although she might tease them, but INFP is the only one who she will go these extremes with, because she knows him so well and she's like unbelievably comfortable around him to not have to worry about this, that, or the other, that she's able to do this. Also, she is his editor. He is the writer, she is his editor. So if you're wondering what they both do for jobs, INFP writes, ISTJ edits, and I think also helps out with the publishing. Then, of course, the whole meta thing, which I wanted to have like in a whole Sega thing. Like, in fact, one of my main descriptions to the artist was I wanted meta to be specifically in the Sega logo type font, so it would be meta. in that kind of Sega-like way, because I am a writer, INFP in the comic is a writer. It just seemed very fitting, and of course, because the twins always break the fourth wall, it worked out really well, and it was just something I wanted to happen, and usually when the twins are up to something and the person is targeted, there's always this sense of what's about to happen. And the twins, of course, like I've said before, are my muses. They help me progress the story further. And then, of course, you have them breaking in to come and grab her. They're not there to kidnap her because, as they said, that was last chapter. And they are very... at this point, even though it's been a few months, ISTJ doesn't know about Room 13. Like, this isn't... it hasn't been just a day or a few days, like I said before. It has been a period of time, but ISFJ has still not gotten used to everything in the apartment, hence why they are bringing her to a room she does not know about. And, of course, they are always the lovely twins who like to cause mayhem and all that lovely stuff. Then, for this panel, what I initially thought was going to happen. Everything there is written as it was written, but when it was crossing, so the idea was that they were supposed to be crossing from one panel to the other, which they kind of are, but I had seen it maybe not so much in a diagonal sort of way. This is more the artistic's view as to how they're jumping across panel to panel. I had initially thought of them starting off in this panel, covering this panel, ending up in this panel, jumping down to this panel, and then going into this panel, and then this panel. Like, I thought there would be, like, far more panels than this, but this is a lot more reasonable than what I had expected. But yes, they are essentially walking through... at least that's the idea. They are walking through the fourth wall, in a sense, the fourth wall of the comic panels in this strip. And then, so the idea here, okay, so this line right here was put in by ISFJ. It does not exist in the script. At least nothing that I could see of it exists in the script, because I should know, I'm the one who wrote the script. So this is completely new to the script. This was supposed to be, wait, how did we get in the hallway? Like, how did we end up, not why are we here, but how did we get here? And they'd be like, oh, don't worry about it. And then this is a complete add-on. So that's a little bit of behind the scenes for you. Then, of course, we have the explanation of the room. And I had initially I had wanted to put in more examples as to what the room was like, instead of Narnia and Star versus the Forces of Evil with the scissors. I also wanted there to be, like, other... so, like, Wizard of Oz was supposed to be a thing. Then there was supposed to be, like, an isekai reference of getting transported into another world, but the artist said, don't you think they get it with just those two examples? And I was like, yeah, okay. So I deleted the rest of the isekai and into the other world examples, because these two examples justified it enough. And to bring about this result. Then further on, so the idea here is that I don't know if I wrote it right, but the idea here with INTJ was that she was supposed to see the spooky, scary skeletons, and she was supposed to open the door and then look at it and then close the door. just be like, nope, and then walk away. But part of that got cut out and deleted even in the script, usually because there's only so much you can do with comic panels that you can do with animation. Animation, you would be able to see her opening the door, looking at the dancing skeletons, close the door, and be like, nope, and then walk away. And that is the idea here, is that she's looking at this and she's going, so that's kind of what's going on here. Continuing on. And this, I don't think her slamming the door on them was supposed to happen. It might have happened. I'd have to reread the script, but basically, actually, I think it did happen. Anyways, the idea was that she was supposed to be around and be able to hear them and all of that, which, of course, she does. And the idea here is that every time she goes to the door, she encounters things that are scientifically impossible, as if the room is teasing her. In a sense of, oh, you believe in this to be real and this to be real, or you believe in this, or you don't believe in this, but you believe in this. Basically, it is the idea for INTJ is that the room, every time she tries to open it, it always taunts her with things that she either can't accept, doesn't believe, or is scared of. That is why she doesn't like going there, because it always challenges her in ways that she does not like, and she can never predict what the next thing will be. Which is why this happens, which is great. The twins, of course, love the idea, but of course they're ENTP and ENFP, so of course they would. So this kind of goes further into the explanation of what she witnesses as it progresses. So first one is spooky, scary skeletons. The second one is grim, grinny ghost. And initially I had thought to bring this out in October. I'd wanted this comic strip to be out in October. That was my ideal goal, is that the way we were going at the time, I was trying to predict how long it would be until we would hit October for me to give this out, but it never happened, so it came out when it came out. And of course, yeah, I actually did write in, have the twins run around in ghost costumes, which is my favorite thing here that's happening. So then we have INTJ wanting no part of it, of course, and then we learn that one person cannot go in there alone, in order to prevent escapism, in order to prevent other things. The idea was that the buddy system was created so as to bring about accountability. So yeah, there's that. Then we have ESTJ. So these two right here are just coming out of room 13 with each other. Like, they are heading towards room 13 and they're coming out of room. If you're wondering where they're coming out of room 13. They're not coming out of ESFJ's apartment. They're not coming out of INTP's apartment. They're coming out of room 13. And the other thing is the reason why you see those two together is it is a subtle hint that we threw in there for the artist's favorite ship. Whereas mine is a more dominant one that deals with INFP and ENTJ. This is the more subtle one that you don't and will not see so much on the forefront. So that's why they're together, is that kind of subtle nod to ISFJ's favorite ship. And of course, you have ESFJ being concerned with them remembering what they did last time, which is part of the course. And then, so this, so INFP was the one who caused the one to never leave. Like, he was the one, because I know myself and I know other INFPs, if we had the chance to go somewhere and escape from it all, we would. Especially if it's a fantastical place where we could do whatever we want. Yeah, we would never leave that place, especially if that place leads to other worlds. Like, it's like, Das Vidanya, we're gone. And so, the other thing here is that I think it's this point where ESFJ is supposed to do the talking, not INTP, but it was switched around. And with the INTP, like, saying it. And then, of course, we have ENTJ come in. And she's kind of gathering. So basically, if you want to see her furious, it was especially when the person who she really, really likes decides to leave, and she's like, not happening, especially because we don't know what's going to come to you or become of you, so therefore I will come there and drag you out by myself. So that is why you have her there, and her being called over by ESFJ instead of them explaining it. It's a lot easier for ENTJ to explain what happened and what she did. Now, initially, there's going to be an important part here that would have extended the chapter of this comic that not a lot of people know about. Actually, nobody knows about, because I never put it into the script. But there was supposed to be a thing here that I had initially intended to do, not on this page particularly, but this begins what is supposed to happen. So after this, there was supposed to be a flashback. So between 51 and what is all of this, it's supposed to be mixed with a flashback and the comic. So you're supposed to see ENTJ narrating what's going on. You're supposed to see a more fantasy, medieval-like world. You're supposed to see, the idea was that people were going to be freaking out. You're going to see people trying to figure out what to do, how to find INFP, how to get INFP out there. And the thing with INFPs, with the whole be like the wind and like disappearing like the wind, and the entire joke is that INFPs can be kind of like ghosts or like the wind or invisible because they're there, but nobody really notices them. So they usually take advantage of that to slip away. Even with me, with how tall I am, they may notice me there for one moment, but like at any given moment, if they're distracted, the INFP can just be like gone, which is what he's able to do in the comic. Is he's able, even though everybody could be together, if they're not paying attention to him, he can easily disappear. And so they were supposed to switch to a new, I never wrote it because it was going to take, what I had intended was, while she was narrating, it was supposed to go into the flashback and like jump from the flashback to the present, and then go back to the flashback where you saw it take on a completely different storyline. And what I had decided was that should be its own chapter, a chapter called Flashbacks, or that time when I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but like It's initially going to go back in the past, and it's going to explore the moment when INFP never left the room, what he was doing there, how ENTJ went there, or I may write a post on Tumblr and show what was going on during that moment, which I may still do. I need to think about it. But yeah, that's what's kind of going on here. And so it's like, once again, with the narration, so from here, it's supposed to be like a narration, or it jumps back to here. Then it was supposed to go into the kingdom with her confronting INFP, who was likely in a castle at that time, and then like threatening him. All this being like kind of narrated while you saw what was going on in the kingdom. And I decided that was far too complicated to write straight out, so I just kind of annexed it. But just to give you an idea as to what was initially thought, or like what was going on in my head when I was writing this. So that's just an example. The idea was that I was going to show the full capabilities of what Room 13 was supposed to do, using INFP as a catalyst, and then having ISFJ, which you'll see at the end with what she experiences. Then, of course, you have her kind of going... initially, she was supposed to be a lot more threatening here. Basically, in a very domineering, assertive / aggressive way to ISFJ in like a very clear tone of voice. He's mine. I'm not going to give him to you. I'm not going to give him to her. I'm not going to give him to anyone. I care about him. He is mine. He is my conquest. I am going after him. And if you even try, so help me, I will come after you. And so, basically, it was like very undertoned threat with, there was supposed to be like a very undertone threat, and the artist was like, does that really need to happen? And I was like, no, I guess not. But yeah, that was what was supposed to go on here, was her kind of threatening ISFJ and making it very clear that INFP is hers and nobody else's. And this was still when I was kind of like debating who INFP should end up with and everything. And then it goes back into the buddy system. And of course, them pretending to be angels, which is like the most adorable thing ever. And it goes into them about to enter into the room 13. And also, the reason why it was called room 13 was... because there was supposed to be 13 rooms. 12 was supposed to be set aside for... we were going to throw in Isabella Myers and Isabella, Aunt Myers, and Catherine Briggs as kind of like the overlords and owners of the complex. That may still be a thing, but I think they'll have like a separate place for that they come and check up on the types every so often. It's in the future. But that's to give you guys a bit of an idea. So here there was supposed to be a kind of joke between this page and the previous page, where there's like a ENTP and ENFP proof lock that prevents them, the both of them, from going in there with together, because they cause chaos, and you can never trust the two of them together to do and be grounded in reality to a certain point, but that never really happened. Even though they're like some of the most lovable characters, and I love them to death. I love writing those two so much. But that never made it into the comic. It may be added in as a kind of fun fact deal in like black and white at some point with a new artist once I find a new artist, but to give you the idea of what to have. And so the idea with ISFJ was she was supposed to be greeted with a peaceful surrounding, which she is, and I had decided, like, I was trying to figure out, am I going to make this peaceful or am I going to make this more complicated? And I decided that I wanted to make it more peaceful so as to not complicate what was going to be going on, and I didn't want to extend the story. I wanted the story to have anywhere from 24 to 30 pages per chapter, usually around the 24 to 25 mark, sometimes shorter, sometimes longer. And had I made it more complicated, it would have gone well past what it was supposed to. And so they, of course, have that wonderful montage of them being in the room. And here, I like to think she's actually squishing the cloud. Like, she's actually she's not just pointing at the cloud, but she's poking the cloud to make it like that. Because, once again, in room 13, a lot of things are possible that don't make a lot of sense, but they may make sense if you like bend the laws of physics or play with quantum mechanics, which room 13 quite often does, as well as dimensions. So yeah, they were supposed to have like a very cute, peaceful time, and it's just wonderful and heartwarming, which is what I was going for. And then, of course, we have the end of the chapter 2, where, like, she's brought there and she's, like, kind of wondering, and because ISFJ is kind of grounded in reality, there's all that. Now, so the interesting thing here is that initially the artist, so this is actually INFP's room. The artist did not realize at the time, this is a bit of a continuity error. I'm admitting it full out. This is a bit of a continuity error, where he should technically be in his office, which is in another building. It's not in that building, because the next place takes part in an actual work environment, which is why all of this disappears when it comes into the next comic. So, rambling aside, that is everything for behind the scenes of Chapter 2 of MBTimes. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.